Well, good morning. I'm John Smith. That's my real name. I'd like to start out that way. So, as mentioned, my company, Great Lake Segway. And I wanted to talk about another existing mobility gap. So we have a gap for seniors, disabled persons, and some veterans. Often they're unable to enjoy public areas, amenities, venues, parks, and trails because of their inability to walk long distances. So with that said, many parks, trails, and public venues in Michigan and throughout the country ban personal mobility devices such as segways, e-bikes, and scooters. And a big reason for this is because they don't really understand how they work. They're not clear on their rules and state laws and liability concerns. So, I'll talk a little bit later about the laws in Michigan and throughout the country. But so my summary and what I'll show you is that segways, scooters, and other mobility devices create on-demand, inclusive mobility solutions that allow seniors, veterans, and disabled persons to enjoy parks, trails, resources, and many other amenities. Segways and scooters solve identified mobility gaps. Disabled persons, veterans, and seniors around the world are in fact using segways to explore parks, enjoy nature, and visit other public areas where they normally would be unable to do so. So I have a friend of mine, Julie, who I met through the Segway business, and she loves life by getting outdoors. She's a member of the ADA community and a sufferer of spastic paraparesis. Say that 10 times really fast. But what it is it's a muscle deficiency that makes it difficult for her to walk. So what she has found, however, is that her Segway is a personal mobility resource. She speaks on how she can barely walk on a normal day due to her physical limitations, but in the attached video, which I'll just play a portion of, if you give me just a moment. Loading. So in the video, Julie talks about growing up with her condition, and so that first part, she's speaking about the fact that it's been difficult for her to raise her children and take them places with her disability. And but what I wanted to do is kind of fast forward to a point where she demonstrates how she utilizes her Segway on a given day.
Difficult. Some days are better than others. And I referred to that earlier, how difficult it is for me to get around and get my exercise. And the Segway has offered me this opportunity. I made my cane on the handle, secured with Velcro. Put on my helmet. And I gotta tell you, you have to wear was an honor to be authorized Segway dealer at Michigan.
Sorry for the extra commercial there. So you get the point. So Julie, she lives in Ann Arbor, right? And Ann Arbor Art Fair is one of the largest fairs in the state of Michigan. She can barely walk the art fair, loves to get outside. When she gets on her Segway, she's able to enjoy the art fair for 4 hours or longer. And it's really, as she mentioned, revolutionized her life. However, Julie was recently denied access with her Segway at a local zoo. In her words, we tried to visit the local zoo, which was May 22nd of 18. She was denied entry. The park actually had a policy forbidding Segway use. When I talked to my fifth person, I got her to state that someone deemed the paths unsafe for other motor-powered vehicles. That's the language of the policy, in her words. So Julie lives in Ann Arbor, was attempting to go to a zoo in Royal Oak. I won't say which zoo that is. But so that's about over an hour ride. And she was with her grandkids. She had to pack up the car, planning a family day, got the Segway prepared, which is a little challenging. Finally got to that zoo and was all ready to enjoy the day with her family. When she got there, this is what happened. She was denied entry at the gates, and then she had to talk to 5 layers of management, who ultimately said she cannot enter the zoo with her Segway and needed to go back home. So she was humiliated in front of her family, did not get to enjoy that day, and it made it really difficult and an experience that left some pain for her. So why Segway? So what Segways are? Some of you have probably seen them. Maybe you've done tours throughout the country or maybe even throughout the world. It's a 2-wheeled, self-balancing personal transporter. It uses gyroscopes to maintain balance and motors to help you turn. Segways have been around since 2001. So they've gradually improved in their technology over time. And they now have responsive steering to help you turn. The speed and travel are controlled by leaning forward slightly. And the nice thing about the device is that it travels seamlessly inside and outside of doors. So it can go through doorways, and very convenient for that. And it allows users to enjoy a variety of activities. And the nice thing about it, it can travel 24 miles on a single charge, which are lithium-ion battery powered, and you can plug in the evening to recharge them. Segway PTs offer inclusive mobility. So as we mentioned, seniors, disabled, and veterans in particular, which my presentation was focused on, but not limited to, they can enjoy amenities such as able-bodied visitors. It allows them to enjoy experiences when walking is difficult, and it's inclusive, so anybody can ride a Segway once they've been trained how to do so. It offers first and last mile transportation mobility. So we've talked a lot about different forms and modes of transportation throughout the weekend here. And Segways can be complementary of some of the other solutions that you all have been sharing, such as autonomous shuttles or car sharing programs, transit, etc. So Segways can help get the users from, say, a parking lot where a shuttle may drop them off to the actual amenity where they can enjoy. The nice thing for disabled is that it gives them a little extra dignity. If you imagine the stance on a Segway, we'll be demonstrating a little bit later in our break, but you're about 8 inches higher than you normally are when you're standing. So that's a big deal for chair-bound disabled folks, because there's a level of dignity that comes with standing and being eye to eye with an able-bodied person. But take it one step further, they're 8 inches above that standing person. So you go from sitting and looking up to somebody to, in fact, looking down at them. So that's just a nice added feature. They're not associated with wheelchairs, and it doesn't give them the disability stigma. So they could be riding alongside an able-bodied person without any distinction. Segways handle a variety of terrains. So grades up to 26%. They can travel on sand, grass, gravel, dirt, pavement. There's a lot of flexibility in where these machines can operate. The energy usage is very minimal. So there have been white papers conducted, and some of the stats here are representative. So if you don't realize, with the carbon emissions, that's less than a Toyota Prius. And as I mentioned earlier, 16 to 24 miles per charge, with 1 kilowatt hour per charge of energy used. So it can be a great way to use for various daily applications, as we mentioned. While this particular presentation was focused on parks, trails, and other amenities, it could also be utilized for shopping trips or visits to the doctor, a variety of necessary activities for seniors, veterans, and disabled, as well as the general population. Segways are supported by federal and state laws. So per the Federal Department of Transportation, some disabled individuals use Segways as a personal mobility aid in lieu of traditional devices like a wheelchair. And they are covered under a broad class of accommodated mobility aids, putting them in the same category, if you will, of canes and walkers. Furthermore, they've also mandated and allowed for Segways to be brought on of public transportation, for example, Amtrak and other public transportation devices. And it's approved by the Department of Transportation's Disability Law Coordinating Council. So that's the federal side. So what does Michigan's state law say? So many people don't realize this, still in the state of Michigan, as part of our education process. In 2002, Governor Engler signed into law that allows Segways to be a distinct vehicle considered non-motorized, so it's in its own classification, and it's classified as a electric personal assistive mobility device. And the law, as I mentioned, canes, walkers, etc., also put in a similar category to bicycles. So what about the streets? So they can go on streets of speed limits under 35, or I should say up to 35 mile an hour speed limits. They can go on bike paths even where it says no motorized vehicles, as well as sidewalks and the shoulders of streets. So we've started having that conversation with the Michigan DNR and to start to begin to allow them on trails and pathways. And it's interesting how laws have changed in Michigan in just the last couple of years, allowing electric bicycles. And in many cases, those bicycles go up to 35 miles an hour. Segways, however, go up to 12.5. I don't know where the 0.5 came in, but trust me on that one. So about a third of the speed of an electric bike is a Segway. So we have proposed a mobility solution for Segways. So we, much like prior presenters, have talked about an app-based on-demand reservation system, but in this case using Segways in that solution that allows disabled seniors and veterans to rent Segways for use at parks, trails, and other amenities. It allows them to enjoy the same amenities where they couldn't normally enjoy, and maybe they're able to get out instead of just sitting at home worrying about how am I going to get around. So in our proposed solution, drivers would deliver the Segways direct to seniors, veterans, and disabled persons to their desired park or location. So, as safety is one of our critical priorities, we offer a Segway training program that allow those constituents as well as the general public to participate in a 2-hour training session to get them acclimated and help them safely operate Segways. Graduates of the training program are issued a Segway driver's license. So that driver's license would allow them to participate, rent and use Segways at parks who are participating, trails, and other public areas. So they would take their license, they'd bring it to a participating venue, and that would allow them access because they're showing that they've been trained and they understand how to operate safely. This rental program, so you see me there, I'm all cheesy smiling there, but that's our delivery van. We can take up to 12 Segways per van and take them to parks and what have you. We're still working on the program costs, but we propose a $50 solution that allows them to get a card, discount for future rentals, and even find ways to partner and work with retailers or restaurants or other amenities so that it becomes a comprehensive solution. And then future rides can be offered at a discounted rate because we're not doing the training program any longer. They're just enjoying the Segway with their license. And we actually have submitted some of this to the Michigan Department of Transportation for some of their grant funding to see how we can start to implement this in communities around the state. So this solution could help to avoid, we just heard about the poor population needing transportation. This could help subsidize some of that and allow for first and last mile transportation for those who may not be able to afford the program. So a quick visual, I've already kind of voiced this over, but they engage in the 2-hour program, they demonstrate that they're safe to ride, they watch an official safety training video, and then they're issued a Segway driver's license. They open an app, log in, and the first time download, they go in, they reserve their day, their time. We bring our fun branded van with Segways and offer any additional training, touch up, make sure everything's working properly, and then the user gets to enjoy their experience, whatever park venue or other trail amenity. So we do want to make sure this program works. So we would research it, gather data, ask how users have enjoyed this experience, find out where they went with their Segway. Did they enjoy it? Capture their overall reactions. How did the Segway handle? And then understand, importantly, how the device improved their overall mobility. So some of those collection methods would be in-app experience, rider and park surveys, park management interviews, and also understanding how pedestrians and other non-riders interacted with the Segways. How did the riders perform in and around when you were crossing in the pathways in the parks, etc. So we want to know not only safety for the rider, but safety for people around them and understand that controlled environment. So we've started a partnership with the West Bloomfield Parks. We've reached out to them, and right now we're going to do a classroom style program where we do the training at the parks. We deliver, we train them, and we guide riders through the parks and trail system. So much like the diagram earlier, the initial training class will issue them a license, and then they will do the training, put on the helmet, sign the waiver, and go enjoy themselves. The next time around, they can come back, they can show their license, and if it's been a duration of time, we can do a quick refresher, get them back on the road, and enjoy. So maybe some of your questions is, what if they're unsafe to ride? So we would reserve the right to refuse their ride. We would give them a refund, but we would also give them a future opportunity to try again. So how is this sustainable? So, as I mentioned, this is offering new amenities and mobility options. And initially we targeted disabled seniors and veterans, but in the future we would want to roll this out to the general public. But we see this as a way to increase tourism, increase engagement and emotional connection with Michigan parks, trails, and other public venues. So we're using technology and mobility to help people enjoy nature, to be more mobile, and to get out and enjoy themselves. Revenue generated would be reinvested to improve the program, as well as find ways to grow it and provide more resources, including doctor's visits and other imperative grocery shopping, etc. And ultimately, we believe this could support job creation. So we could hire more mechanics, drivers, trainers, people, marketers, people to help us make this program a success. But we also realize this program requires the support from you all and others out there who are involved with the ADA community, who are responsible for transportation policy, etc. Also promote and identify to candidates through veterans programs, senior organizations, and the larger ADA community. And then, as I've hinted at, our longer term plan would be to expand to other first and last mile transportation solutions in conjunction with shuttles and public transit and other supplemental options. Additionally, we would want to develop a partner network within the app experience to encourage engagement. So if our constituents are enjoying the Segway, let's give them more ways to enjoy it. So it could be at retailers, discounted, or grocery shopping, they get a coupon, or a restaurant, they get a promotion. So that could be a real-time in-app experience. And then ultimately, we want to position Michigan, and we could also partner with some of the other states like Texas, I heard in here, to position Michigan in particular as a leader for personal mobility solutions. Oh, and did I mention the new icon that we should add to the parks and trails? So we have all these cool icons when you open up your park and trail map, hunting, fishing, camping, kayaking, whatever. Why not include a Segway icon that says, hey, Segways are available at our parks, trails, and other venues. So as I mentioned, this requires coordinated efforts. So we need to identify participating parks, public venues, other partners that'd be willing to participate in this program. And again, some of those identified partners could be MDOT, DNR, the parks at a variety of levels, state, county, metro, etc., trail managers. As I mentioned, we've already started this program with the DNR. This could be a marketing engagement tie-in with Pure Michigan and the State Recreation Passport Program as to help promote recreational enjoyment and mobility. We need to recruit partners, so creating a fully integrated marketing campaign. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a marketer. I know many of you are engineers, and I think there are great ways to work together and put our minds together to make this happen. Also, promoting and identifying candidates through various organizations. It could be Michigan Paralyzed Veterans of America, and there are many agencies out there, as you know. So here are some of our current partners. University of Michigan. We've had conversation with the spastic pararesis community, Michigan, Mobility Inclusion, DNR, West Bloomfield Parks, and most importantly, your organizations. So just a quick overview of our company. Started in 2010. That's a picture of my wife and I. We were cruising along in Bay Harbor and Petoskey. 3 weeks later, I had a fully functional business because I fell in love with the product and the enjoyment that I had from it. And fast forward now, I'm the full service dealership. I do repair, training. We do the sales. We do refurbished units. And I invite you all to come join us on and enjoy some of our products. Not only do we have Segways, we'll have electric bikes, scooters, and a variety of fun two-wheeled vehicles for you to check out right after the break. So that's it. Any questions for me?